They chained Kale by the throat when they dragged him into the royal courtyard. Dirt smeared across his hands, dried blood crusted beneath his fingernails. He expected punishment, maybe execution. Humans were not allowed near the royal stables. They were labor, tools, barely acknowledged as living beings. The king's guards shoved him to his knees. Before him loomed a living mountain of muscle, scales, and fire. The royal war dragon, Arkrath. Every alien court member had gathered to watch the beast's final attempt at obedience training. The king's army needed Arkrath for the coming war, but the creature had killed every handler assigned to him. Even the most elite trainers had been burned alive or crushed. The dragon snarled and jerked against its restraints, wings beating like thunder against metal bars that bent with each strike. Kyle had seen dragons only from far away. They were symbols of terror, the Empire's greatest weapons. Now one stood close enough that Kale could feel heat radiating from its body, smell smoke curling off its jaws. The king leaned forward on his massive throne. His voice boomed. "This human touched the beast last night without being eaten. He will control it today. If he fails, the beast will feast on him. If he succeeds—" The king paused. His tone implied success was impossible. "He may live a little longer." Kale's breath shook. He had not meant to touch the dragon. He had been cleaning the feeding cages as ordered. Arkrath had been sleeping, chained in shadows, and Kale brushed his hand against the rough scales by accident. The dragon had opened one glowing eye, and merely watched him. No roaring, no lunging. Silence. It was the first kindness Kale had known in years. A trainer unlatched the main lock. "Step closer, slave. Prove your so-called touch." Kyle stood slowly, legs trembling. The courtyard seemed too big and too quiet, all eyes fixed on him. The dragon growled low, a warning rolling like storm clouds. "I'm not here to hurt you," Kyle whispered. "I never was." Another tug of the chains made the dragon snarl toward the trainers, not toward him. Kale swallowed and took one step. Then another. He raised his hand, heart pounding so loud he wondered if the dragon could hear it. Arkrath's molten eyes blinked. Once, Kale pressed his palm to the warm scales of the beast's neck. A hush swept the courtyard. The dragon inhaled sharply, then lowered its head until Kale stood beneath the shadow of its jaw. The guards flinched, ready for chaos, but Arkrath simply exhaled heat across Kale's body. Almost like a sigh, Kale let out a breath he hadn't realized he held. "He responds to him," a noble stammered. "Impossible." The king's eyes narrowed. "Remove the chains." The guards recoiled. "Your Majesty, that could—" "Do it." One by one, the restraints were released. Bolts groaned. Steel crashed to stone. The entire platform vibrated as the dragon's wings stretched free, casting everything into sudden shade. Kale felt the shift of power instantly. If Arkrath chose violence, nothing could stop him. The dragon turned its massive head toward the king. The nobles screamed and stumbled back. Kale rested a hand against the dragon's jaw. "Hey," he whispered. "Easy. They don't know you like I do." Arkrath looked at Kale again, and something ancient and weary shined in the creature's eyes. Pain. Years of cruelty. Endless battle. Kale laid his forehead against the scales. "I know what it means to be owned," Arkrath rumbled. "A soft, dangerous agreement. Mount him," the king ordered. "The war is near. The beast obeys the human, so the human will ride the beast." Guards approached cautiously, offering Kale a simple harness. Not armor, not cushioning. The protection of a slave. Kyle climbed onto the dragon's back. Scales shifted beneath his weight, powerful muscles bunching like coiled springs waiting to be unleashed. "Take flight," the king commanded. "What if I don't?" Kyle asked softly. "He will kill you," the lead guard hissed. Kyle looked at the dragon. "You wouldn't do that, right?" The dragon gave an impatient snort that sent dust swirling like tiny storms. Kyle placed a hand against the neck ridge. "Up," he breathed. Arkrath launched skyward like a living comet. Kale clung tightly as wind tore at him and the world shrank below. They soared past towers, banners snapping in their wake. For the first time in his life, Kale wasn't crawling. He was flying. The alien capital stretched to the horizon. beautiful and cruel. Kale saw slave yards, war factories, and the towering citadel of the king. The same king who wanted to chain this magnificent creature to a battlefield. "We can keep flying," Kyle whispered. "Just go. Leave them." Arkrath banked through the clouds, letting Kale feel the weight of that choice. Freedom tasted like sunlight, yet the dragon slowed and circled back toward the courtyard. Duty pulled him downward. Or fear. Kale wasn't sure. They landed hard enough to shake the marble tiles. The king smiled, victorious. "It seems the beast follows your command," he declared. "Human, you are its rider now." Kyle slid off the dragon's back. He looked at Arkrath, really looked. The scars, the chains, the loneliness. Kale then looked toward the cages holding other war beasts suffering the same fate. "No," Kale said, voice clear. The king's amusement vanished. "What did you say?" Kale reached up and stroked Arkrath's muzzle. "I won't be your weapon. Neither will he." The king raised a hand to signal the guards. "Kill the defiant slave and cage the beast." Steel clattered as soldiers advanced. Kyle didn't give commands. He didn't shout. He simply held eye contact with the dragon. "Protect yourself," he whispered. The ground erupted. Arkrath unleashed a roar that shattered stone pillars. Flames engulfed the front line of guards. Wings slammed downward, sending armored soldiers flying like toys. Chains snapped under talons as the dragon demolished the courtyard. Nobles fled, screaming. Kyle grabbed a fallen spear only to drop it again. He didn't need it. He had something stronger. The dragon crouched so Kale could climb on. Together they smashed through the main gate. Alarms howled across the capital as the two unlikely allies disappeared into open sky. The world stretched wide before them, full of danger and hope. Kyle pressed both hands into the warm, living scales beneath him. "No more chains," he said. Arkrath roared, a triumphant answer that rolled across the clouds like thunder declaring war on tyranny. For the first time, the dragon wasn't a weapon, and the human wasn't a slave. They were free. Together.